A very warm welcome and thank you so much for keeping it KTS. Of course, this is the Entrepreneurial Spark program. I'm your host, Regina Orlando, and with me is Mercy Kendi, our guest today. And on the very farthest end is Mr. David Sergon, our resident panelist. Welcome to the program. In our previous episode, we discussed integrated agribusiness, and today we are going to discuss agribusiness but with focus to greenhouse, and that is why we have Mercy in our studio today. Mercy, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, kindly introduce yourself and tell us what you do here.
I'm Mercy Kendi. Professionally, I'm a farmer, but school-wise, I'm a lawyer and accountant. That is to say, I studied law and accounts. But at some point in my life, I was employed, and I discovered that my salary is my employer's airtime for the week. So I started doing those calculations, and I said, why would I live on someone's airtime? Let me start something of my own, so that my salary is my salary and my airtime. It's being mean, but it's life. Yeah. So that is why I started this greenhouse. It's a family business. We started with my brothers. For them, they follow up on phone. I'm the main manager. Our parents passed away in between 2011 and 2010. So this is what is feeding us. It's educating us. It's our everything, basically.
Mr. Sergon, what's your take on Mercy's decision to quit employment and embrace entrepreneurship?
Mercy is a typical entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are risk takers, entrepreneurs are innovators, and entrepreneurs who are proactive. A decision to really do that means that she has the tech to be an entrepreneur. And if you look at our current forms of entrepreneurship, basically you look at the youth, they engage in knowledge-based entrepreneurship, where perhaps maybe they're using a lot of IT knowledge, and therefore it needs a lot of skills. You must be trained in that. Others could go into areas like the service industry, but then our area of specialization is agribusiness. Agribusiness is actually a very rich area, because if you look at the Kenyan scenario with regard to food security, we actually food is secure, and we will confirm later on that food which is being produced from the farm, which is organic in nature, is the best, especially when we are trying to fight lifestyle diseases. And there is a lot of opportunity for you to engage in agribusiness, because we are yet to feed our people. But I want to salute Mercy for making a decision. She's a lawyer and she's an accountant. Those basic skills she has gained will not go to waste if she grows this enterprise to be a massive enterprise, because you'll need a legal mind to deal with contracts, to deal with maybe matters that are regulatory in nature, and she'll also need the accounting skills to do bookkeeping and so on and so forth. So we wish to encourage you that once you have some certain discipline, it is a profession, so to speak, it should not really tie you that particular profession. In fact, the blue collar job has more money than the white collar job. That's a given. While we need to encourage that to continue.
Mercy, can you take us in to show that you can see what's happening with your greenhouse?
Karibuni ndani.
Asante. Mercy, can you give us a brief description of your greenhouse?
This is a 30 by 8 meters greenhouse. So it can carry up to 600 plants, depending on the plants. In my case, it's tomatoes. But we've left some space at the end for nurseries. So mine has 540 plants. 540? Yeah. This is not the recommended spacing for tomatoes. The spacing is a bit wider than this, but in previous experiences, we've been having some crops reaching a certain stage that they die, either due to many issues, many factors. So this is why we squeezed them a bit, so that if any one of them dies, the rest can still give us the produce. But also, This is a very strong hybrid type of plant. So even if I squeeze it, I will still get good quality tomatoes. Like they will be big and round.
So you only do tomatoes?
And F1. Yeah, inside the greenhouse it's strictly tomatoes. Outside I do all other sorts of things. But inside, strictly tomatoes and nurseries. I put my nurseries in the greenhouse because a nursery in the greenhouse takes a shorter time than a nursery outside the greenhouse. Yeah.
How much did you use to establish this greenhouse?
Initially it was a bigger greenhouse. If you go outside you'll see it was a 30 by 20 meters greenhouse. This is now 30 by 8. So it means we've reduced it by like a quarter. The 30 by 20 was built by a company. So and it was also 14 feet high. This is now 12 feet high. It was 14 feet high. So the standard greenhouse is supposed to be 14 feet. It's supposed to be, well, they know how they usually do it, the companies. But that big greenhouse collapsed. That is why I built. This is not a standard greenhouse. This is just me and my workers here. We took the remainder of the paper and we reduced it to this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mr. Sagun?
Well, if you're talking about 500 plants, how many staff do you have? And, how often do you really visit? Because seemingly, you say you're a full-time entrepreneur. Are you there fully or?
Since I quit my job, this is my office. So I'm here Monday to Friday. On Saturday I cannot come, and on Sunday I also can't come. But any Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, just like an office. 8 to 5, here. Although there are times when we go up to 7, because like during the transplanting, you cannot transplant when there's sunshine. You transplant when it's a bit cool, so you go up to 6 sometimes. So I am here.
Now,
So
what are the issues that you deal with? Maybe in a brief, the main what we call crop husbandry that you deal with in this greenhouse, especially if you're dealing with tomatoes.
The main thing I deal with is threading. See these strings. There are 2 types of tomatoes. There's the determinate tomato and indeterminate tomato. Determinate tomato is the plant, is the type of tomato which you plant and it grows straight like a tree. So you won't need to do threading. Then this is sort of examples is like the Kilele F1 from, is it Syngenta or something? That is the example of determinate tomato, and it does very well outside the greenhouse. Inside the greenhouse, okay, there are also other types of tomatoes which are determinate and you can do them inside. But the type I have is called Anna F1. There is the signpost to show you. This Anna F1 is indeterminate. This means that if you leave it on the ground, it will crawl like pumpkin crop. Yeah. So we thread it so that it goes up. Why do we thread? It's not only to make the tomato stand upright, it is also to prevent the fruits. Like you can see this. If I let this tomato lie on the ground, these fruits will lie on the ground and they will start rotting, and also the issue of insects. So when it is upright like this, it is easy to spray, it's easy to harvest, it's easy to prune if you wish. It makes life a bit easier, sure. Yeah. And it also allows the greenhouse to take more crops.
And you're seeing some, I don't know what these are called. What are these?
This is just
what is the purpose?
Grass. This greenhouse used to be a swamp initially. So we did a lot of soil curing. This used to be a swamp, so we cut the grass off, we did all that stuff. So this grass I've put here is for 2 purposes. One, actually 3 purposes. One, when I step here, I won't sink because this soil is clay soil. It's very sticky and very moist. So most of the time this place is very soft. So I won't sink and I won't get you see, hata kama uko na matope, maji haikuji juu ya kiatu. You see? Yeah. So you won't get water on your shoes because the soil is still very moist. That is one. Two, it acts as a mulch. These crops are old enough, so now I only water maybe even once per week, sometimes even once in 2 weeks, like when it's raining outside, because there's still water seeping in through the So I water very few times, so it helps keep the moisture inside. And also another advantage of this is to reduce the labor, because if I let this place open without putting the grass, there will be a lot of weeds. So instead of coming to pluck weeds from near the crops, I'm plucking weeds there and here. Yeah. So it also reduces on my labor. So the only labor I have here is to prune sometimes and to spray and watering. Watering, you just go to the tank, open the water. Yeah, it's drip irrigation system.
And Mercy, being an accountant and a lawyer at the same time, and now channeling to agriculture, somebody may think that there is quite an inconsistency. So what are some of the challenges that you experience as a first-time entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge I had initially is this soil. This soil was terrible. As I've told you, it was a swamp. Okay. So we had to cut off the grass, do what, and all that costs money. Another huge challenge we had is trusting companies. I'm not saying don't trust companies, I'm just saying just look for a very good company if you have to have your greenhouse built by a company. Otherwise, if you know where to get the material, just buy the material and build like a, because I'm telling you, this house was 30 by 20 meters. Then the whole roof collapsed when the tomatoes are fruiting. See, so I lost my whole first crop was a loss.
And how much did you put in that 30 bunch?
I put in around, let's say $500,000 around there. That is covering all the costs. The cost of seed, the cost of the house itself, the cost of the initial caretakers, the cost of the soil. This soil cost us around 20,000 to treat it up to this level, and we are still treating it using chicken manure. Yeah.
Now, Mercy, you said your first crop you lost them.
Yeah.
And I want to comment that because most greenhouses you find here and there are abandoned. And the key reason in entrepreneurship is that if you lack that tenacity to start to go back and do it again, you'll find that most entrepreneurs you'll have to rent back to a legal office to become a clerk or something like that. But I think you are demonstrating some very good character in the sense that you were able to really fight back, calling it fall forward. So you were able to really wake up and then continue with it. But was there perhaps any support you got from other partners or friends who were able to really support you during that period? Because I imagine if you lost your crop, you'd be disillusioned and you feel like how to put this thing.
Yeah. Actually, what happened is I got a serious depression when that first crop. What happened is there was very heavy rain the first time the greenhouse was built. So that is what made the whole thing collapse, because water is heavy and this thing is wooden. So it made the whole thing collapse. So
you got depressed? I
got depressed because that was my first. I was super psyched, I've quit my job, I'm going into agriculture. I was super psyched. I was thinking there's a friend of mine who also does tomatoes and he was raking in 3 million a month. So I was saying, hey, in 1 year I have 12 million.
You already made
so the whole thing collapsed. And once you start something, the first days are very good, very good, very good. In fact, my crop was this size and it was fruiting and the fruits were huge, and I was saying, wow, this is wonderful. So when the whole roof collapsed inside, it killed 3/4 of the crop. I only remained with 3 lines on the far end. So those 3 lines, my caretakers came and told me, Mercy, you're crying over your money and all that, but if you sit and cry, it won't bring back that money. It won't. If you sit at home and you don't come to the shop, it will not help. How will you get back your half an empty? You know? How will you get back your money? And my brothers called me, and they even came at some point. My brothers will usually work on phone. So those are the people who encouraged me. I went to one of my friends, borrowed some little money, 20,000. And I came, bought misumari, bought what? Took the pieces of paper, I even bought thread.
Mr. Sergon, what are some of the challenges that startups experience?
Well, I think Mercy has given a very good example, especially the issue of discouragement. You need to have really a mentor who will pick you up when you are down. It's really a leap of faith. It's not something that is very easy. But she needs somebody who will be able to guide her through the 3 million fellow was earning every month. The person could be able to take her through maybe an arm in terms of this husbandry. But more importantly also is that look at startups. You pump in all your money, expecting perhaps maybe to profit from the same.
Sure.
But oftentimes you realize that because you lack the skills to run that kind of business which is new to you, that project may collapse. So when it collapses, you'll actually be discouraged. And if you're discouraged, then you might quit that. That's why you see many entrepreneurs come up with a startup before even it matures, and you're saying 3/4 usually don't celebrate that birthday because they quit. So we need to have fellows who will mentor you. We need to have fellows who can support you, like the lady who gave her 20,000 to pick up from there. You have to trust her. Otherwise, the fellows will say it's a failure. Why should I give my money? But right now, if you look at this crop, you'll be impressed because that 20,000 will now be a very, very small percentage of that. So in most cases, I think the right attitude is very important. If you have decided to become an entrepreneur, pursue it. You must always fail, and in failure, see it as an opportunity to learn, so that when you learn the next step, you will not be able to repeat that. So that's a pillar.
And again, just like in her case, many entrepreneurs, many beginning entrepreneurs, they begin enterprises with very high expectations, and then you find that the expectations are not fulfilled. What can you encourage, or what can you advise them? Because just like in her case, she expected so much, and then the expectations just crumbled, and she even went through a depression. So what can you tell them?
Now, usually when somebody begins an enterprise, they are usually so entrepreneurial at the start, and usually we look at the theory, we listen to the stories we're being told. We read in newspapers, we go to the internet, and we are told this is what you expect. Usually they give us the optimal results. So as entrepreneurs, we always look at the maximum benefits from that. So when we roll our sleeves and then we now walk the talk and do the farming like she does, we do realize that there are some gaps here and there. The fellow who's telling you she's making 3 million per month has learned the ropes very well. She knows how to prune, she knows how to spray, but a new entrepreneur, they know this. So what we need to do is that as entrepreneurs, we should not be too optimistic. We must know that there are some challenges. In fact, as an accountant as she is, usually there's a principle where you operate on the worst case scenario, that you realize losses before you think of the profits. So entrepreneurs, when they do this, they do this. Number two, when they venture into, they need to venture using a small project. For her, for example, she would have begun with 8 by 15, the smallest. Then learn the skills using that small one, so that you minimize your damage. If you fail, you don't run into depression. Because I'm imagining if she was doing a small space like this, she will not run into depression. She'll have the energy to repeat again. So we should not really just pump a lot of money into a new venture. Let's do it bit by bit. We start small, but we think
as we gauge.
Yes, we gauge.
Okay. We are taking a short break, but don't go too far, as we still have a lot more lined up for you in the show. Stay tuned.